Only my husband could spend a fortune on someone else's family, and his sister kept taking advantage of him. Lisa stared at their bank statement for the third time, the numbers refusing to change despite her desperate hope that she'd misread the withdrawal amounts. $7,000 had disappeared from their savings account in the past 2 months, all of it transferred to Heather's account with Brad's electronic authorization while Lisa was at work. Only her husband could spend a fortune on someone else's family while their own mortgage payment sat unpaid in their Atlanta home. The late notice from their lender lay beside the bank statement like evidence in a trial she hadn't known she was part of, both documents painting a picture of financial priorities that excluded Lisa entirely. Brad's explanations had evolved from emergency car repairs to urgent rent assistance to medical bills for Heather's children, each crisis more dramatic than the last. But Lisa had driven past Heather's apartment complex yesterday and seen her sister-in-law loading shopping bags from expensive stores into a car that looked suspiciously new for someone supposedly facing financial ruin. The pattern had been building for months, starting with small amounts that Brad justified as temporary loans to help his sister through difficult times. $500 here, $1,000 there, always with promises that Heather would pay them back once she got back on her feet, but the repayment never came, and the requests only grew larger and more frequent. Lisa's frustration wasn't just about the money, though losing their savings felt like watching their future disappear one transfer at a time. What hurt more was Brad's willingness to jeopardize their financial security without consulting her, as if their marriage was a subsidiary concern to his sister's endless needs. Heather had perfected the art of crisis creation, always calling Brad with tear-filled emergencies that required immediate financial intervention. Her timing was calculated, late evenings when Lisa was busy with household tasks, or early mornings when Brad was alone with his coffee and vulnerable to emotional manipulation. And his sister kept taking advantage of him with the systematic precision of someone who understood exactly which emotional buttons to press. Lisa's investigation into their financial records revealed a more disturbing pattern than she'd initially suspected. Heather's emergencies coincided perfectly with her social media posts about spa weekends, designer purchases, and expensive dinners at Atlanta's trendiest restaurants. The medical bills Brad had mentioned were real, but they belonged to Heather's cosmetic procedures rather than legitimate health crises. The discovery felt like finding evidence of an affair, except Brad was cheating on their financial future with his sister's manufactured helplessness. Lisa realized that Heather had been systematically training Brad to respond to her emotional manipulation, rewarding his generosity with gratitude and guilt in carefully measured doses. When Lisa confronted Brad with screenshots of Heather's lavish lifestyle posts, his reaction revealed how deeply his sister had programmed his responses. He defended Heather's right to enjoy life despite her struggles, suggested that Lisa was jealous of his family loyalty, and implied that questioning his financial decisions showed a lack of trust in their marriage. The gaslighting was expertly executed, turning Lisa's legitimate concerns about their financial security into character flaws that made her seem petty and controlling. Brad had learned to protect Heather's manipulation by attacking Lisa's motives for questioning it, creating a dynamic where any criticism of his sister became an attack on their relationship. Lisa's breaking point came when she discovered that Brad had applied for a second mortgage on their house to fund what Heather claimed was a business investment opportunity. The loan application contained forged information about Lisa's income and employment status, meaning Brad had committed fraud to access money for his sister's latest scheme. The business investment turned out to be Heather's plan to open a boutique clothing store, despite having no retail experience or business plan beyond Brad's willingness to finance her dreams. Lisa realized that her sister-in-law wasn't just taking advantage of Brad's generosity, she was systematically destroying their marriage through financial manipulation disguised as family loyalty. Lisa's response was swift and decisive. She froze their joint accounts, canceled Brad's access to their savings, and scheduled a meeting with a financial advisor to assess the damage Heather's manipulation had caused to their long-term security. The moves felt aggressive but necessary, like applying a tourniquet to stop life-threatening bleeding. Brad's reaction to losing financial control revealed how completely Heather had captured his decision-making process. He accused Lisa of financial abuse, claimed she was trying to isolate him from his family, and threatened to leave their marriage rather than abandon his sister during her time of need. The threats felt hollow because Lisa finally understood that Brad had already left their partnership the moment he prioritized Heather's wants over their shared goals. The intervention came when Lisa presented Brad with a choice: couples therapy to address his inability to set boundaries with his sister, or separation that would legally protect Lisa's assets from his continued financial sabotage. The ultimatum forced Brad to confront the reality that his enabling behavior was destroying his marriage, not strengthening his family bonds. Heather's response to Brad's reduced access to money was immediate and revealing. She escalated her emotional manipulation, claiming that Lisa was trying to destroy their family and demanding that Brad choose between his wife and his sister. The forced choice exposed Heather's true motivation. She wasn't seeking help during difficult times, but rather control over her brother's resources and loyalty. 6 months later, Brad had learned to recognize Heather's manipulation tactics and established firm financial boundaries that protected his marriage while still maintaining a relationship with his sister. Heather's initial anger at losing her financial safety net had evolved into grudging respect for Lisa's refusal to enable the toxic dynamic. Lisa's decisive action had saved their marriage and their financial future, but more importantly, it had forced Brad to choose between his wife's legitimate needs and his sister's manufactured crises. Sometimes love meant refusing to fund someone's irresponsible choices, even when that person was family, and especially when they used emotional manipulation to avoid facing consequences for their behavior. The boutique store never opened, but Heather eventually found stable employment once she realized Brad would no longer subsidize her unrealistic lifestyle expectations.